Welcome to Sub-Auteurs, the podcast where we talk about movies because, hey, we like movies. We are your hosts. I'm Misha.
I'm MJ.
And I'm Andrew.
And today we are talking about something that goes back to the beginning but ends a series while taking us all the way around through every era of a very beloved franchise. We're talking, of course, about Rurouni Kenshin, The Beginning.
Yay! And according to release date, you must have already heard our first episode on Rurouni Kenshin, like a retrospective on the last 4 films. Yeah, 4 films. So, yeah, this time we're gonna focus on the beginning, which is the final film. Oh my god, it's still... I still don't understand.
I am still confused.
Well, it's a prequel that is the finale. It's
finale?
It's
finale?
Like better, finale. It's like Better Call Saul, where everybody's older in the past.
Yeah, but at least Better Call Saul you knew because it was going to be an extended episode and it was a different character. This one, it's really still about Kenshin Himura, or Batusai in this case.
Well, let's go into it.
And with that, we go to the beginning of the podcast. Kailangan ko rin kantahin yung guitars, diba?
You do. You really do.
You always do.
I do.
Okay, so we all just saw Rurouni Kenshin, The Beginning, which is now streaming on Netflix. This is something, again, that we would have liked to see on the big screen, but I guess something is better than nothing. This is, of course, the 5th and final entry in
Wait. The 5th and final entry.
Yeah, the beginning is the end. The end is the beginning is the end.
Huh?
Basta yun.
Okay, if you say so, sige.
Okay, so let's try that again. Rurouni Kenshin, The Beginning, is the 5th and final film of a series that started in 2012 with the first live-action adaptation of the beloved anime and manga, Rurouni Kenshin.
Yay! Huli na ang lahat.
It's so confusing, I swear to God. It's so fucking confusing.
So out of context.
So, what did you guys think? This one takes us all the way back to the very earliest days of the lead character of Himura Kenshin and all the stuff that he did before the show even started.
Can I just say that I knew what I was, having seen the original OVA, I knew what I was going to get myself into, but I still, I was still surprised I felt so heavy watching this.
Yeah, dude. I literally finished it before recording and
wasn't it tiring?
It was exhausting.
It was exhausting to watch.
Very exhausting.
Yeah, and overall, I guess a lot more serious in tone than the first 4 films. You got a slower pace. It actually reminded me of like classic Japanese films that were just very simply framed and just static for quite some time with a lot of dialogue. And it's a little bit more dramatic with darker themes. But this was Kenshin's life also at the time. And the film, I think, portrayed that perfectly. And, the characters are less optimistic and happy and animated. And I guess it's a sign of the times. And even Kenshin, you don't have his cute, dumb moments here. None of that.
I felt like in comparison to the first 4 movies, this felt more like a character study for Kenshin himself.
Definitely.
Parang, we dove in more into his reasons or rationale why he behaves that way after the war or in 10 years into the future. Why it was so important for him not to kill people, the rationale behind it. It was just insightful, I guess, about his motivations for being the hero that we all know and love.
I think that MJ hit the nail on the head when she said that it was more introspective. It took a very much slower pace because something that we criticized about the previous 3 movies, not the previous 4, but the previous 3, was that a lot of the things that happen in them go by way too fast. This one takes its time, really. It doesn't include everything from the OVA or the manga, but it really lets us get into the heads of the characters. And I also appreciated the execution because if you remember the original OVA that this is based on, it used a completely different art style from the regular show. And that's also apparent in the way they executed this. This one isn't so freewheeling, cartoony, fun, zany, high energy. This one, you could release this on its own and know nothing about Rurouni Kenshin, and I think you would still get something out of it.
Yeah.
Yes, you would.
And also, I feel like it was a little bit more cinematic, but for a good reason because it really fits the material.
Absolutely.
And like what Misha said, it took its time, and that's just because it didn't have seasons worth of events and characters.
Yes.
So technically, it was the cleanest film-wise because they didn't have to cram so much into it. So they had that breathing room, and you really needed that breathing room because of all the dramatic things that happen in between.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And you know what else I noticed about this movie is that the fight scenes were more grounded. Which also reflected the OVA. Yeah, in comparison to the high energy, frantic fight scenes of the past 4 movies, where Kenshin would be slashing and 5 people would be flying in one slash. Here you see Kenshin really struggling. The fights were more gritty. I wouldn't say they're that realistic either, but they were they're definitely more grounded. They were grittier, and you felt that at this point in time in the character of Kenshin Himura's life, where he was full of anger, his style or his aggression was reflected in the choreography of the fight scenes in this movie.
And I think that same amount or like that same way of doing the fight scenes added weight to this.
Mm-hmm. It did.
Definitely.
I would agree.
Because we've never actually seen, in the 4 films that took place before this movie, which are all set after this movie, Kenshin is no longer, the Hitokiri Batosai, right? He's like this sweet idiot. He's this sweet. No, he's not. He's a dork. He's like a lovable dork.
He's a dork
who will kick the ass of everyone in the room before they even have a chance to draw their swords. But in those, he was always making an effort not to kill anyone. Here, they opened the movie with a full-on blood fest. Just to let you know that he is not the same guy. You are not here to have a good time with this movie.
Nope.
The first thing I see is he grabs the sword with his teeth. I was like, he won't fight with a sword, biting down on the sword with, oh shit, he starts slashing people with the biting down on the sword. What the hell is this?
I know, and this is Kenshin taking out an entire team with his hands tied behind his back and with a sword in his mouth in the fucking opening sequence. Whoa!
Doesn't he like dunk a guy's head in a barrel of water and proceeds to stab him with the said sword that he was holding with his mouth? Right?
Wow.
I think he does that at some point. It's like, what the fuck?
His teeth must be super strong.
Wait, I'm going to take back my statement about the fights being more realistic now that I think about it because of that fucking opening scene.
Well, in his defense,
was literally grounded.
It was a short
there was
sword.
Okay, fine. Yes.
Mas literally grounded
Yes,
kasi
it was
hindi sila
grounded.
lumilipad.
Yeah, literally grounded. Less wire work nga naman.
That's true. In fact, there was only like one instance of superpowers in this one, and that came from Saito, and it happens off screen. You just see what happens to the guys he hits with his move when 4 of them go flying out the window at the same time.
Oh, Saito.
But then he does the arm thing first, so you know it's coming.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit.
But yeah, for the most part, this is pretty grounded. You're right.
Yeah, but Saito still does his thing where he just walks while everybody is just frantically fighting around.
Oh man, even with his crazy ass long hair and his blue robes, he's still my guy. Saito
I know he was supposed to look younger with the long hair. He just looked older.
Nobody looks younger in this movie.
let's get to the Better Call Saul elephant in the room. Okay, this is like, let's talk about the reverse aging because like obviously Kenshin looks older, Saito looks older. These are 2 characters we see in the previous films, and like.
The only one who looked of age was Tomoe.
It's because it's her first movie.
I know. Wait, no, it's the second movie. We saw her flashbacks.
Yeah, but they were taking footage from this one for that.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just being...
That's so confusing because this is a sequel.
I know. And okay, they gave Saito thicker eyebrows from makeup and everything. But
I just find that hilarious.
No, seriously, it's like, let's make you younger. Let's give you thicker eyebrows.
Hey, things were tough in the war.
Makeup pa siya.
Things were tough in the war. Men had bushier eyebrows.
I mean, Okay, and also, all right, here, well, at least for the most part of the movie, when we're talking about them in the setting of feudal Japan during the Tokugawa era, right?
Yep.
So they're battling and everything. So he doesn't smoke here yet.
Yeah.
But I thought smoking was bad for your skin. Why does he look better when he's smoking?
Because like, okay, so
Because he's Saito. He's Hajime Saito of the Shinsengumi police.
Feudal Japan can stress you out, I guess.
So the movie starts with Kenshin at his assassin prime, basically. And it's showing how he is fighting on the pro-imperial forces that want democracy and to open up Japan to the world so they can catch up, they can industrialize and all these things. But of course, the other side of that coin are the pro-shogunate forces, of which Saito is one, who like things the way they are with the warlords and all that crap. They don't want anything to do with the Westerners. But, everybody's fighting for a new age or their right to live in it. And the bulk of this movie takes place directly in relation to one single scene from the very first movie from 2012, where we learn how Kenshin got one half of the scar on his face. Because he was on a mission where he killed this one guy who just refused to die because he was so set on getting married to this wonderful, amazing woman that he found the will to live, even if he'd been stabbed 80 times. And at the end of the day, Kenshin finds himself with that guy's fiance.
Yeah.
And things happen.
That's weird.
Things happen.
A lot of things happen.
Very complex things happen.
Yes.
The OVA that this is based on, actually, the OVA that this is based on, which gave the whole backstory to the Rurouni Kenshin TV show, has always been one of my personal favorites, to be honest. Like, I cry every single time I watch that thing.
Ugh,
yeah, I cried when I saw this. You see, this movie paid so much respect to the original source material.
For sure.
Yeah, I think they did a good job of translating it to film, basically getting the essence of what it was.
I like
in cartoon form.
I like what MJ said, that because they don't have entire seasons to cram into the 2 and a half hour running time. This is only essentially, if you want to look at it, it's only 2-3 episodes worth.
Yeah.
So there really was room to breathe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And personally, I heard about Tomoe. You'd see, you're a kid, you're on the internet, and then you research about your favorite anime. And then I learned about this Tomoe, who apparently used to be Kenshin's wife. And me back then, knowing and loving the anime, I was like, no way! No! Kaoru forever! Kaoru and Kenshin should be, people should ship them more, they're so cute, blah, blah, blah. That was me as a kid.
Who is this Epal Tomoe?
Exactly. Even though I realized later on she's dead. So, sorry. But when I finally saw the OVA, I was like, oh, shit. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. I get it why she's seen as this pivotal figure in Kenshin's life. Young, naive me was just like, no. But when you're a little older, I guess you realize that she's just one of the people that really shaped who he is. And without her, Kenshin wouldn't be the Kenshin that he is, and he wouldn't have met Kaoru. So it's a more mature way of looking at it. There will be these people in your life who may come and go, but they will somehow shape you. And Tomoe is really one of those pivotal figures in Kenshin's life.
Oh, definitely. The way she went pa. She came and then she went. The way she went was how can you not change? Because of if you're Kenshin and you had this experience happen to you, how can you not change because of it? I mean, that series of unfortunate events that eventually led to Tomoe's fate, where it's you kill somebody and then you meet who was supposed to be. You kill somebody who was supposed to get married, then you meet that person's betrothed, who you fall in love with, and then that person just dies in front of your eyes.
And then to add to the whole Shakespearean aspect of it, she doesn't just die. You fucking kill her. And then to add a whole nother layer of it, she was only with you because she was trying to kill you in the first place.
So complex.
Until everybody just fell in love with each other and forgot what they were fighting about.
Aww.
I love. I mean, like, okay, so talking about the characters now. You said about everybody falling in love with each other. So I was just reminded of the scenes, especially the scenes when they were together in that small house they lived in.
Right,
Oh
right.
my
Where he was like learning how
God.
to use a hoe.
Yeah.
He was. He
I'm really
was.
sorry. My head processed that
Of
differently.
course it did.
Same.
She fucking says it in her diary. He seems to like field work. What is wrong with you people?
I know.
I know.
I need Jesus. I know I need Jesus,
For everyone
okay?
Shame on
listening,
you.
everyone, I'm the nice one.
Okay, you keep saying that, but somehow people still don't believe you. Hey.
Yeah, talking about that quaint country life that they had. So to give context, Kenshin is like this super killer, right? So this is the point in the war where they're kind of losing, being raided by the shogunate wherever they would have base. So members of the Kenshin Rumi, that's the new people, of the new era fighters. Where Kenshin is with, they go into hiding. So he takes Tomoe, and his boss kind of says like, "Oh, you take her. You will be less suspicious if you live with like pretend you're married or something." So they live this quaint country life, and yes, Kenshin learns how to use a hoe, like for digging, and he plants stuff, he farms vegetables, and it's a very traditional husband-wife dynamic. But it was really nice.
They're kind of cute, to be honest. They are a cute.
It warms your heart, right? And just with how warm everything is visually, it's all just like gold and yellow and sunlight, and look, they're just like so happy. And I mean, how content would you have to be to get that kind of smile from Kenshin from like, was that a radish?
Yes,
like,
he was growing radishes.
He was growing radishes and happily holding one. It's like, I make this.
Is it just me, or does he just really have a thing for radishes? Because even in the future, when he's with Kaoru, that's always what he's fucking cooking for some reason.
Oh, I know.
He's
That's
always
something
got
we
this
should
big
research.
fucking radish whenever he comes from the market or whatever, right?
But like,
I don't know. Maybe
he looks so happy. It's like one of the few times in this movie you see him smile. And he's holding a fucking radish.
Yeah, it's cute. I mean, it's one of the cutest things to watch. And then also, I mean, it's where the heart of the movie is. It's supposed to make you feel that way. It's supposed to help you fall in love with the idea of these two people sharing a life together, only to be stolen away because of the situation they were both in.
Absolutely,
I know. And if you look at this scenario, and at that time during the war, this was actually the happiest Kenshin was. And it makes all the more tragic, like Anjo said, because you know how it ends.
Yeah, and look, he's been killing people since he was 14. That's the only thing he's ever known how to do.
I am just gonna say this again. I saw the OVA. I've seen the OVA probably more than 5 times, maybe before as a fan, and I knew what I was going to get myself into watching this movie. I still feel so heavy. Why? It's not fair.
It's like, we did this to ourselves.
I think a big part of the success of this one versus the very, very truncated previous film, which was The Final, because that one was just too jam-packed. It really was. And a big part of the success of this one wasn't just the fact that there was a shorter storyline to adapt for the full runtime, but also because I think that the actors really had a big part to play in it. Because Takeru Sato, who plays Kenshin, he's got this down pat. He can do Kenshin in his sleep already at this point, but he never phones it in. He's always giving 110%. And you can see that.
And also, look, going to Tomoe too. I mean, she's a new character. And, well, technically not new because she came first before everybody else. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, movie-wise, it's the first time you see her on screen.
You're confusing yourself.
And she's just... she's such a mysterious figure. Like, she's complete contrast to Kaoru, who's very outspoken and bubbly. Well, outspoken besides her feelings for Kenshin, but she's very Yeah. But this Tomo is very different. She is traditional woman. She's the type to like serve you food or assist you, and as like the wife material kind of girl, talaga. But she has this certain air of mystery to her, and you never really know what she thinks. But she has this perpetual poker face. Like also true to the anime, very true to the anime, but her eyes are so expressive.
I was gonna say it's a good thing she has that diary, otherwise we'd never know what she was thinking. No, but from what I remember, that Tomoe, if I remember of the comics, was that Tomoe was always designed as like a riff on Ayanami Rei from Evangelion. So she was always going to be poker faced and all that. It was always
I
going to
did
be
not notice.
the characters reacting around her. So I think that they pulled it off really in the casting. If you look at it, she's very deadpan. You're absolutely right. But when you look at her eyes, there's a lot that's going on there. There's a lot going on. It's not just deadpan for deadpan's sake. And I think it works.
Yeah.
I do have a bone to pick.
And Anja and I were actually talking earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But Anja and I were talking earlier before recording, and Anjo put it perfectly. Like when he said, "Hindi mo siya matimpla," right?
Yeah.
Anja, would you like to expound on your?
Oh my God! You are a father.
Ganda na ng explanation mo bago tayo mag-record.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry. I'm gonna say it again. Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is with Tomoe, I said it earlier, hindi mo siya matimpla. You never could tell how she felt, which is, I guess, part of the experience, or how you would be able to empathize with Kenshin about how he would feel towards Tomoe, because this them being together, parang it was more of her unraveling herself to him because of the situation that they were in, that they were kind of forced to be husband and wife, to play the role of husband and wife, the roles of a husband and wife, and then eventually, to realize that she actually started to feel love for somebody she should hate for what he did, which was brilliant because like, if you were stuck in a room where somebody is supposed to hate you, like, that would be the one thing you would probably feel all the time. Is you wouldn't know how that person is feeling by the way they'd look at you, unless they're so blatant about "I hate you." It's like,
well, the movie was very clear, naman. The movie really hit the nail on the head, and I think I said nail on the head once already in this podcast. I should stop saying that.
What is it with you with nails on heads?
I don't know. They need hammering. Shut up. Wait, it's like where the head of the Shadow Watch literally says that love and hate are like two sides of the same coin, and that coin is karma. But what I really liked about that sequence was towards the end of it, before the bad guy goes off for his final fight with Kenshin, who by this point is all beaten and bloody, he's like, yeah, we never needed you to tell us what his weaknesses were, because like he might not even have any, so it was always going to be easier to give him a weakness. And she doesn't say a fucking word, but it's all on her face when she realizes that she is Kenshin's weakness. She just melts right there. She implodes.
This is probably one of the best scenes. Probably one of the best scenes in this movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Acting-wise, that was woof.
Because she was there to kill the guy who was helping her get revenge on the man who killed her husband. Because she'd already fell in love with the man who killed her husband. But she found out that just by existing and having feelings for him, that, she was condemning him to death also.
So, guys,
this whole thing is fucking Shakespeare.
If there are any listeners out there who think that love is complicated, like, try being Kenshin. It's just so fucking weird, the situation he's in.
I gotta say though, I said earlier I got a bone to pick. Well, it's not really a bone. Well, it kind of is, because I didn't feel at what point these two began to have affection for each other. Does that make sense? Because they're both so incredibly deadpan. That's why people were making fun of them the whole time when they were being seen together and all that stuff. And then
you have a point. It's not as you'd see in romances that they'd have this moment. Like, for example, you drop something on the floor, both of you reach for it, your eyes meet, and it's like, la. There's no moment like that.
Their meet cute is a literal bloodbath.
And then she literally says, you make it rain blood. Parang ina. That was the meet cute. What the fuck?
That was the meet cute.
Natalsikan na nga ng dugot lahat si Tomoe. Wala pa rin siyang facial expression.
I know. Look, okay,
Well,
you can
okay,
raise Eva. She's got an excuse. She's a fucking clone of a clone of a clone of a clone of Shinji's mom.
Okay,
What the
ito na
fuck
lang.
is Tomoe's excuse?
Si
She's not a
Tomoe,
robot.
Okay, si Tomoe, natalsikan na nga ng dugo, di ba? So wala siyang expression. She
None.
doesn't give away anything, right?
None.
That's why she faints. Like she's suppressing everything.
Oh.
I'll just probably fall asleep.
I
or
see
faint.
what you did there.
Well,
I don't
I
know.
guess she, like Misha said, imploded.
Imploded.
So, nasa loob yung kulo niya.
Pero can you
Yeah.
imagine what the hell life was like in that farmhouse for these two unemotional idiots? They'd
Yeah, I
be
mean,
like,
like
they just
I
be
feel
staring
like-
at each other over dinner.
no, but I
think-
kind of appreciated the fact that it was more nuanced. It was so subtle how they would fall in love with each other, knowing that they're both so deadpan. They both barely gave away any expression because they're essentially both very lonely characters.
That is true.
Yeah.
Which is
That's
why I
very
liked
true.
it. Which is why my
Yeah.
favorite scenes in this movie were not the fight scenes. It was essentially the scenes where we get to see them getting to know each other. How Tomoe actually appreciated him more, started falling in love with him.
He was good with a hoe.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
She noted his technique. What?
Okay, yeah.
He's a good farmer. He's not just a killer. He's many layers. He's got many layers.
Yeah, he
Like-
feeds her.
Yeah.
Radishes.
This is how I see it, okay?
Big bulbous radishes.
Oh my god.
Mhm.
This is
And
how I
you're the
see
nice
it.
one.
I am. I'm just talking about vegetables.
Because like there really are relationships that don't really have those big rom-com moments.
True.
There are those relationships that are just simple. Some people might think it's boring, but it's more of the consistency of the relationship and not in these highs and lows that you experience. Sometimes it's like how these married couples stay together for so long because they have a routine
That's
and they
fair.
spend every single day together, and just the sheer proximity of your partner being there with you 24/7, that I feel adds to this simplicity and contentment that they have. So it's not about the big moments for them. It's just like the everyday. I make you dinner. You farm the radishes, and then I cook it, and then we eat together, and then we
That's-
snuggle by the fireplace. Ganun kasimple
I
lang.
saw you
Yeah,
yesterday with that
that's-
hoe.
Misha is host, man.
No,
Misha is
No.
host.
Listen to me. I love those bits when they're on the farm because you finally see where
I
each
thought
of
you
them
were
is.
gonna say I love those hosts. I'm sorry.
Kenshin only had one hoe. What the hell's wrong with you?
Wait,
Anyways,
you never saw a shed.
wait, no, really. I love the day-to-day scenes when they're on the farm because you really see that they mean something to each other. Whether it's just him taking joy in preparing a meal and doing the chores, or her just watching him, there's a real connection there. But before they go to the farmhouse, he literally tells her, "We gotta go on the run, but I want to marry you for real." And she just says yes right away. Parang, where'd that come from? That's what I mean.
Because she has an ulterior motive.
Then he's an
Yeah.
idiot. He should have realized that. Yes,
Well,
she has
she's a very good spy.
she has an ulterior motive. And Kenshin is an idiot for not realizing that. Considering the line
Oh,
of
she's
work
really
he's in.
pretty.
She was kind of pretty, wasn't she? But
Yeah.
yun nga, the line of work that he's in, he should have smelled a rat or something.
Or a hoe.
Oh, God.
Yeah, wala.
Wala.
Misha started all this.
He was distracted by the power of radishes.
well.
Let's talk about the third act where everything goes to hell. So,
No,
okay, so
no.
I'm gonna walk out. I'm done.
the pro
Bye.
Shogunate forces
I
have a
can't.
spy in their midst.
Ooh. Before we get there, I just had to share. Again, I need Jesus. I know that. But I love this part where Katsura Kogoro, the leader of the Asian Shishi, basically Kenshin's boss,
Mhm.
talks to Tomoe one-on-one, and he kind of sees her as a threat already because just like being around Tomoe has changed Kenshin. He's softer.
That's right.
He's not the cold, he's
not
not
the
as
assassin he once
cold-blooded.
was.
Mhm.
Yeah. Exactly. So he talks to her one-on-one, and at least he saw her as a threat. I mean, Kenshin didn't,
That's
but
why
he saw
Kenshin's
her.
not the leader.
That's why he has oversight. You can see things.
Yeah.
But
I love when he talks to her because it's kind of like a threat, a backhanded threat when he says, "Please don't do anything to blunt his sword."
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, well, if we're thinking about the same swords, I don't think that's gonna be a problem. If you know what I mean.
You need Jesus.
I told you, I wanted to give a disclaimer, sorry. But I just saw that line in the subtitles and I was just like, okay.
how old are you again? It's like
12.
12. Okay, good job. Good job.
Galing. Very
good
nice.
job. 12 years old and a podcast. Nice. Okay, something interesting before we go back to the beginning. Issei Takahashi, the actor who played
Katsura.
Kogure. He was actually part of the Kill Bill cast. He was a Crazy 88. One of the henchmen of Oren Ishii, or otherwise known, played by Lucy Liu.
Very nice.
I thought you guys would want to know.
Very nice.
He's cool, yeah.
It's pretty. That's an interesting fact.
Yeah, and everybody in Kenshin's team, or at least the people he interacts with, really saw how different he was with Tomoe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I feel that just adds to the layers of her being that weakness.
But again, because Kenshin is like a murder bot, it's like, he's slightly less deadpan today, boys.
He's
walking with a skip in his step today.
Maybe he got his sword sharpened.
Oh, look at you. So, okay, fine. Let's go to the third act of the movie where everything just goes to shit. So Kenshin and Tomoe have been living their happy farmer life.
I refuse to talk about this.
Katsura Kogoro comes over and tells him, "Yo, we got spies. We're not sure who it is, but stay on your toes. In the meantime, sell some stuff so you don't look so suspicious just living out here with your hose."
Don't be suspicious.
Did he sell his radish?
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Magkano kaya isang kilo ng radish sa kanya?
So basically, everything comes to a head because Tomoe, who was asked to try and find out what Kenshin's weaknesses are, ends up being his biggest weakness because he has fallen for her hard. Because the fake marriage that he was told by his boss to get into, of course he didn't listen. He got a real marriage because, hey, why not? But now the Shadow Watch, the pro-shogunate forces are moving in and they want Kenshin to be at his absolute worst, having just found out that his wife was trying to kill him all along. And Kenshin is picked apart one by one by Shadow Watch forces as he tries to make his way to their lair.
I mean,
what do you got?
You start off by reading someone's diary, asshole. You don't do that.
His boss told him to do it. But, his boss also told him to pretend to get married, but he got married. So I don't know, it's a funny time to start listening to your boss.
I wonder if that boss you said who was smart, who had, that nature to kind of smell a rat. I wonder why he decided to make him read it, knowing that he might get distracted.
That's
true. How did he know she has a diary, though? Do all Japanese women keep a diary? That's maybe something cultural, I don't know. But
I don't know. Kaoru didn't. Or did she?
Maybe they beat it out of a spy.
Maybe.
Wow, we suck at our jobs. I mean, we all just saw this movie.
No, really. I was always, at the time I was watching, I was like, how do you know she had a diary?
That's true. And why would she be dumb enough to leave it in the house?
Her diary isn't even the smallest thing. It's
no,
huge.
It's not.
It's huge.
She has lovely handwriting,
She does. It's like straight up calligraphy. Like she didn't make a single mistake. Not that I can read Japanese. It just looked very tidy.
It looks so pretty.
And that diary is pretty important because it shows up before again.
In the final.
It shows up again before.
You're confusing yourself.
It shows up again before in the final, which came before the beginning.
It shows up again before the beginning in the final.
Basta it goes to Inishi. Inishi gets it at the end. That's when he's reading in prison at the end of the previous movie that comes after this.
Boom. That's still a mouthful, though. That really still is a mouthful.
Good job,
Previous
good job,
movie
good job.
that comes after.
Okay,
this.
everybody, I think Misha deserves a round of applause for trying to explain it that way.
Yay! You need a
Sound
fucking time machine to fix this.
Yeah. But
yeah, he's fucking heartbroken after reading that diary. He really
he is ruined. I mean, fine. I
ruined.
see why he read the diary, but I see why he should have. But I don't know. It's just me.
Maybe his boss could have lent him a couple of guys as backup, because you just broke your heart.
Oh,
you really think he's up for a job like this?
Exactly. Like the first thing he does after finding out, he goes out, he gets stabbed straight away. Come on. He gets shot by arrows. He gets hit by trees. He gets felled by logs. He's not in a good state.
Ooh, I actually liked that that whole tree forest trap thing. That was pretty cool.
I know. They must have been setting it up for weeks while he was just playing farmer. How did he
Playing with
not
his
notice?
hose?
He's like, hey, what are you guys doing over there?
He's playing with his hose, man. As you put it plainly earlier, he was playing with his hose.
Yeah, but there's some guys playing with wood over there. That could get his attention.
Oh my god!
Forestry work.
Yummy Jesus!
Okay, so yeah, Kenshin is getting beat to shit because he does not have the will to live. But he's still stumbling forward. He's still stumbling forward. Tomoe.
I liked it. I liked that though. Like you would see the difference. You would see how he was literally just so sloppy compared to his other fight scenes. It was no precision. Like he was so precise in the beginning, and then you see him in the climactic fight scenes where he's just lumbering, meandering and lumbering around, kind of dragging his body. It just shows you how heartbroken he was about finding out his wife was the traitor.
Yes. And you could. It's huge contrast to how we're used to seeing Kenshin, and that just adds to the factor that oh shit, this really done him in, man.
And at the same time, Tomoe is facing off with the big bad. She fails in her attempt to murder the guy. And he wants to kill her man with her watching.
Oh.
What can we talk about with this scene? How did it hit you?
Fuck! like a wall of bricks. Like how Ayoshi ended in the last movie.
Oh my god, Ayoshi. Fucking Ayoshi.
One of the most badass fighters in the anime, gets taken down by a fucking wall.
Yeah.
Favorite
seriously though, that really added to how heavy it all was. Also the fact that it was snowing. It's also cold and and
you mean it's more cinematic this way if there's blood on the snow?
It is. It really is. But again, I'm gonna say contrast for the nth time because this is so different from his happy times.
Oh yeah.
His happy times are all warm tones and sunlight. This is overcast, just white, gray. Just color theory pa lang parang
So they took a play from Zack Snyder's playbook.
Zack Snyder ko dyan.
What are you talking about?
Kasi gray, monotone. Ganon yung color grading nila. I'm just kidding.
Mas maganda naman to.
Oops. That is true.
No, but executionally, you're both right. Because, look at it. Everything is muted. The color palette is completely muted. Similar to the way the OVA was done. Versus the anime show, which is bright popping, vivid. 5 primary colors. Like Kenshin wears a
red kimono.
Yeah, he wears this bright outfit, right? On the regular
Even
show.
His hair was brighter in that.
And the entire cast is made of primary colors, But in the OVA, everything is muted, everything except for Tomoe for the most part, Her color palette is what? Like
light
blues.
No, I'm sorry?
Like a bright pink, close to white.
It's more like purple. Violet purplish because her she was always depicted before as having that plum perfume. So it fits in with her character. So you could probably argue, and I don't know if I'm reaching, right? But maybe the fact that Tomoe is the only spot of color for the bulk of this movie is because that's how he sees her in this horrible world that he lives in.
I don't think that's a reach. I think it's a very good representation of what he is and how important she was to him. Which is why it was more painful.
Terrible.
But she becomes muted and desaturated, same as everybody else. after he finds out her secret. If you watch it again, like because she blends in already by the time that the final showdown thing is happening, because she is just as corrupt as everybody else in this fucking movie.
I feel heavier than I first did after watching the movie.
I'm done, guys. I'm not gonna finish the session. Good night.
I'm just saying,
people suck.
The thing that makes this fucking movie work is because, number one, you're right. Buo yung kwento. The second thing, the treatment is just fan-fucking-tastic because they're not in a hurry and they're taking the time to present it properly. From a visual standpoint, it's fucking gorgeous. You know, this is like a classical Japanese samurai movie that, you know, that is happy to let the film breathe, to take its time and let the characters grow. And I think the fact that it leads to all those fun, crazy situations that we love from the show later on, that just adds even another layer to this one and to the tragedy of Kenshin, who he ultimately is. But the way she died, let's talk about that.
No, why does it get worse?
Ayoko na.
It keeps getting worse.
So the only color in his miserable fucking life is now part of his world of murder and lies and subterfuge. And he doesn't have the will to live. He's getting the shit kicked out of him. What were you guys, you know, what was going through your head while you're watching this?
I knew what was going to happen, but, you know, like, I still feel like shit watching that part. It's like, I knew it was coming,
shit too.
But then, it's how it's supposed to end. You just have to accept it with a heavy heart.
Just for the record, it takes a few liberties from the manga and from the anime, the OVA version, in that the number of opponents is lessened. There's the dude with the chain isn't there anymore, so it's more a series of one-on-one fights rather than, you know, this big grand anime battle, which you might be expecting. Yeah. So it's more intimate on that level, and that really lets you see that he's in a shit state, because he could wipe the floor with these guys 10 minutes ago before his heart was broken, right? And
now a single guy was a struggle for him.
Yep. Well, we've all been there, not literally, but, you know, we got our hearts broken. We feel like shit. We can't function. So it's totally understandable. Like, even for a fighting, killing machine for Kenshin Himura, it just shows that he's human.
And you know, if you want to get technical about it, he should be somewhere between the ages of 15 and 19 at this point.
Oh, right. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
So, like, he's not even grown up enough to process his emotions proper on a regular day. What more on this day?
Oh my goodness. Okay, something also about that scene, how Tomoe dies. So, big bad boss guy wants her to watch him kill Kenshin. But, you know, she loves him. She steps in the middle, gets slashed.
By Kenshin.
Gets murdered.
By Kenshin.
By her love.
By Kenshin. By her husband.
Killed.
By the guy farming radishes.
Yeah. The one who makes dinner.
Oh, and I love that when that moment happens, the last thing you hear is the slashing of the sword, and the scene goes completely silent for a while. That added so much gravity to it. You see her fall in slow-mo. You see her still expressionless face after she gets stabbed.
Slow-mo.
You see the slow-mo, Tomo.
Slow-mo.
That sounds like a
slow-mo.
Slow-mo.
But yeah, everything just happened so slow and dramatically. I'm sure when it happened in real time, it was also fast, because he never was able to, like, even sense her coming, and he just slashes her in half. But
she doesn't realize she steps in, diba?
For this moment, it's like the world stops. It could literally just have happened in like 1 second, but you feel it stretch on forever, because that's how it felt. Just silence and that gravity.
Was she really deadpan when he slashed her? Because I remember that, like, my chest seized up because the camera was, like, right here, looking at her, directly at her face as the blade hit. And I was like, oh, I thought she had some facial expression, but yeah, okay.
Her eyes did. You saw it all in her eyes.
And, you know,
but yeah, she
what's crazy? It was so impactful and so well, I don't know if it's well staged, but that part was well shot. Because I'm still a bit dodgy on where did she come from that nobody noticed her? And why didn't she just attack that guy from behind? But never mind.
Well, she was blending in, diba? Sabi mo nga, muted.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
She was not camouflaged, but the thing is that from the second the sword hits, that is just goddamn tragic.
I like the wide shot.
Yeah.
The wide shot
Beautiful.
of the wide shot of her just
falling.
You know, of her falling was just gorgeous. Painful to watch, but it was probably one of the more beautiful scenes in this movie.
I didn't even care about the bad guy anymore. I just wanted to know if she was okay. Alam mo yun?
Yeah.
You knew she wasn't okay.
I knew she wasn't okay, but I wanted her to be.
Oh.
I wanted her to be okay.
I honestly, the bad guy wasn't even a factor. You wouldn't even care who the bad guy was because all you cared about was Kenshin and Tomoe.
Exactly. And I love how they didn't even bother. Like, after she died, you go to Kenshin mourning over her body. And they just end the scene there in a wide shot of him cradling her dead body. And maybe the other guy just lying on the side injured. But they don't go back to that. They just cut that scene and go to the future in like a day later.
In war.
Yeah. No, not in the war. In the one where
yes. Sorry.
Yeah, and back to his house. Yeah. So it just goes there and he says, oh, like the guy's dead. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, usually in movies, you'd want to see the guy actually die and not have someone tell you.
Yep.
But this is one instance that it's okay because you don't care about
that's not
him.
Important. You know, you care about
that guy.
You care about Kenshin and Tomoe. Really, you do.
Yeah. I think also he got his closure in that scene after the jump where his boss also realized his boss also tells him that they found out the real traitor.
Mm-hmm.
Who the real traitor was.
And they're sending Shishio after that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't really name Shishio. But he's the one who replaced Kenshin on the job anyway, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
the twisted version of Kenshin.
I need to ask though, because the previous movie that takes place after motherfucker. The Rurouni Kenshin, the final, which comes before the beginning, but is set after the show that comes after the beginning.
Round of applause again, ladies and gentlemen.
That movie is based on the revenge journey of Inishi, who is Tomoe's brother. Who is actually in this movie for like 5 minutes.
I know.
He's here for like 5 minutes. Not even.
More like 5 seconds.
What I don't understand is why they introduced him only to get rid of him, in less than 5 minutes. When one of the big driving factors behind his quest for revenge is that he, in the manga and in the OVA, he actually saw Kenshin swing that sword that killed his sister. But because he didn't have the context, he thought he did it on purpose. And it was the shock of that turned him into an anime character. His hair turned white, his eyes turned blue. He started dressing up like a Naruto cosplayer because he saw this guy kill his big sister.
And the funny
I don't
shades.
understand why the movie decided to not include that when they had an entire movie about how angry he was at Kenshin.
Maybe the filmmakers assumed that we all saw the final before we saw the beginning.
Yeah, we would have, but that's not
that
the point.
Sounds
the point,
stupid.
You're taking
Sorry.
away his main motivation. It would mean more if he actually witnessed it the way he did in the books and in the OVA.
That is a good question, and I have no rebuttal or no way to justify it.
Yeah.
Well,
it would have tied
being
them
devil's
together even
advocate
more.
here.
Go, please.
It would.
It really would.
But okay, this is not. It's not a defense or more of like an excuse for that. But I'm not defend. Yeah, because sometimes when you're angry at someone, there's a detail you don't know. You don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
You can be irrationally angry at somebody. Yeah. So Inishi not seeing how it all happened kind of adds to the context of why he was so broken in the final, which came before when he finally reads his sister's diary.
Right. And
that's just my rationalization.
But for me, it would give more of. I mean, I get what you're saying, where not seeing it, he doesn't have all the details. He needs to fill in the blanks with the diary. But for me, I think it would have made it even more of a driving factor for him to learn all those things that he learned to get revenge on the man who killed his sister if he actually witnessed it. Even if he only saw
I see your point.
Only if he's like, if he saw only the latter half, the actual slashing, which is kind of what happened.
Yeah.
So he thought that it would happen on purpose. It would have been cool.
Yeah.
Because,
I see your point.
and this brings up the entire problem with the beginning being the last movie. We needed this to come before the final, which was the previous movie. Because this movie provides all of the context for
the final
revenge journey in the final.
We needed the beginning to come before the final because they released the final before the beginning.
Right. So now the finale is the beginning, and the end is the beginning is the end. So come on.
I'm so tired.
And you know what Anjo said earlier, right? It's like they actually have flashbacks to his life with Tomoe in the final. But because the movie had specifically the movie series had never shown Tomoe before in her face, never shown her face because they didn't cast her yet. You know, we didn't have an emotional attachment. We didn't care why Inishi was mad. We had no context.
Yeah.
This should have come first so that we could have ended on a high with our new anime family, you know, with our friends, where everybody learned a lesson and we're all better for it because we are not defined by the sins of our past. That would have been a great way to end it. But on that note,
not that I didn't dislike the final, which came before the beginning. It's just that really, my only complaint is the releasing.
It would have meant more if we knew everything.
Yeah.
It would have added so much more weight to the drive or the motivation of the character of Inishi. I mean, like,
because you're flashing back to things that we haven't seen yet. So why should we care?
Yeah, I mean, like, also, which is in relation to what Nisha's issue is, the beginning. Sorry, I'm just getting confused now. So
Are we talking about the beginning of the beginning or the beginning of the final?
The beginning.
Or
the
beginning. Movie that is the beginning?
We're talking about the climactic scene, which is at the end of the beginning. Okay, there. So anyway, so this is, in addition to what Nisha mentioned about the beginning not showing Inishi witnessing the latter half of that fight where Himura actually kills Tomoe.
Right.
And we see him in the final reading her diary. I guess he's so heartbroken because he finally understood why his sister did that.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if we saw all of this happening before we saw the final.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I just need you guys to bear with me and help me. It's just so hard because of the titles.
But on that note, I got a question because this movie ends perfectly as a book with a bookend to the beginning of the very first movie from 2012.
There's just so much beginning.
I know. I know. But it ends at the climactic battle that eventually leads to the Meiji era of modernization of what we now know as Japan. And they actually reused a lot of footage from that very first movie. So it's actually kind of jarring that when you get to the bookend at the end of the beginning, when you get to the end of this movie, which shows the ultimate battle where Kenshin's rebels, are able to secure that new industrialized democratic future, and Saito, the Shinsengumi, they realize that they're on the losing side, that they've lost the battle, and they put their swords down, and Kenshin decides he's never going to kill again. Everybody is essentially 9 years younger than they were in the rest of this movie, and it really shows. It really shows.
It really does.
I was like, Saito lost lines. So did Kenshin. They lost lines in their face.
He didn't lose lines. He just started smoking. Smoking is good, kids.
Smoking makes you younger, children.
Maybe I should start smoking again.
No.
But to be honest,
please, that was a joke.
Wait.
Please take it as a joke.
I got issues with
Sabi ni Saito, hindi eh.
Wait.
That's not what his face said.
Wow. No, I mean, I got issues with the chronology, sure. And the release sequence, fine, no worries. But I like the final shot of this, where it's the sword that Kenshin walks away from to become the dork that we all know and love later on. That was a great way to end it. So,
I don't know.
I guess they couldn't resist the bookend. That's why they released it last. I don't know.
I personally would have enjoyed it as the order we all want. Like, first 3, the beginning, then the end, just so we're not so fucking confused.
Right. So you'll do 1, 2, 3, then the beginning, then the final.
Yes,
Okay.
that's how I'm gonna do it. Because anyway, like what we tried to explain in the last episode was that this might have been from a marketing standpoint, like, oh, just so you remember the characters from the first three.
Yeah.
Because it's been 9 years since the last one, tama ba? Or 9 years since the first one. It's been a while since the last one.
The first one came out in 2012. The last one came out in 2015.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
Wow.
So people are like, oh, maybe they need a refresher. Actually, we don't.
Yeah, you're right.
We don't really need it. Because these are characters, like, if you're that invested in watching the end after the first three, which ended with the legend ends, but
oh my god, I forgot that
there.
The third movie is called The Legend Ends. So wait, okay, let's do this.
No, let me finish my thought first.
Okay, go.
Because we're gonna get confused.
Okay, go.
So if you do plan to watch let's just call it the OAV arc, okay? Let's call it the OAV arc. If you are that invested in these characters to watch the OAV arc then you wouldn't mind going to Kenshin's beginnings before you get to the happy ending and get reintroduced to all these characters that were given to us in the first three films.
That's right.
Because, like, yeah, you'd be a fan either way. And even if you just started off with the beginning and then just worked your way through chronologically, it would still make sense. But it's just so important for the beginning to be before the end, just so it's not so fucking confusing. And so the emotional arc is more linear.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Because you look at the fight scenes of the movie that came before this one, which is the final. Yes. Look at the fight scenes. Remember we were talking about how Saito...
He meanders while everybody's frantically fighting around him?
No, I'm just saying, all the side characters, aside from Mayoshi, I'm sorry, that's Deng's favorite, but he's fucking dead, that thing fell on him.
He didn't die. He didn't die, okay?
Fine, he got horribly mangled by a wall.
When you put it that way, it's so pathetic.
Wala, namatay si Ryan Ogoncillo, wala tayong magagawa.
Shut up! I already forgot about that. Don't remind me. Fuck you.
Okay, wait. No. I'm just saying that aside from Mayoshi, for the most part, the side characters all got like their time to shine in that previous movie. It felt like a victory lap. It was rewarding. It was rewarding our love for them by fan servicing the shit out of it, by showing them all being badass. Even
exactly.
What was her name?
Misao.
Misao was awesome in
How
that
could
movie.
you forget my favorite
character? One of my
How could you?
Fight scenes.
How could you?
The one who's a boy in the English dub.
Mas malalim pa boses niya kay Kenshin eh.
Totoo yan. But yun nga. I mean, it felt like a victory lap. It felt like a reward for our love of those characters. Which, you're right, it would have been more impactful if it came after this dark origin story, so that we ended on a high note.
Yeah.
And even if people would say, okay, first three movies, and then you suddenly give us this really very different movie from the first three. It's not as action-packed, it's very slow, it's dramatic. But it's something you need to go through to really appreciate the final. So even if it is just like jarring to go from the first happy, colorful three with the whole family into this, like it just takes you on a more deep journey.
That's true.
So parang kahit medyo it's different. Like fans might say like, oh, it's so depressing, it's so different from the others. But mas importante yung context eh. Like, this is his life eh. Di parang mas gets mo siya. Then we get to the rewarding end.
Yes.
And then we get to the closure.
Yes, because that's where
even if it's so different, it's something...
It's something
you have to sit through.
He had to go through a tragedy to get to where he's at.
Yes.
Diba? I mean, it sucks. Like, everybody has to do it. Like, Superman had his planet blown up. I don't know about... Captain America loses himself in time. And then you have Kenshin Himura who loses the love of his life by his own hand.
That's heavy. That is heavy shit. Yeah, we definitely needed a palate cleanser after that.
Yup. So would have been nice to see end, the actual end after this, not before this.
It would have been nice and sensible to put the beginning before the final.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
They're just fucking with us at this point.
We've more or less come to the end of the show. So I need you guys to wrap up. What are your final thoughts on the film?
I'm sakit.
That's what Tomoe said.
Oh, damn, that's brutal, man.
Fuck.
It's okay.
I don't want to even follow up to that.
It's okay. She didn't say anything after that.
No, but yeah. Okay, so here. Okay. Final thoughts. If you are a fan of the original anime and the OVA, then you should definitely watch this because it's nice. It's a really good reiteration of the story or translation of the anime into film. You know, the anime itself was a good reiteration of the manga, but this just does justice to the source material. It's so well written. Like the character of Kenshin Himura is so fleshed out. You wouldn't even care about the other characters except aside from him and Tomoe. But you just really want to, it helps you get to know or internalize the character of Kenshin Himura and why he behaves that way after this point in his life. So I would say yes, like especially if you're a fan, of course you're gonna go watch this movie. Like I was.
I think
I knew what I was getting
works.
myself into. I knew I would get my heart broken again. So I still watched it though.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Well, personally, I think that technically speaking, this is the tightest one out of all the movies. Because again, like we said, it didn't cram too much into it. It was simple. It was cinematic.
It had one story to go through.
Yeah, technically it was the cleanest film-wise and out of the bunch, not as jarring in terms of like how many events. But it's definitely not the most fun. It was not fun.
It was not fun.
It's not. Not fun. Come on, being honest about it. It's not.
If you're looking for fun, just watch the other movies. Because this is fucking heavy. This is fucking
Watch
depressing.
The first 3.
But
those are fun.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
but
the fourth
this
one
is a
fun.
journey you gotta go through.
Yeah.
It's something you gotta get through if you really want to see what's going on in Kenshin's head why he's on this journey for redemption and not killing anymore, because this made such a huge impact on him.
Yeah.
And technically they've gone more dramatic with it, with parts with no score or like complete score, like also with like the sequence with Himura killing a room of people with no sound, just the score. When there's actually screaming in that scene, and then you see blood splatter on a flower pot or something. That was so fucking cinematic.
Yes. I think this is probably, in addition to what you said, I think it's also the most focused one.
Absolutely.
Out of all the installments.
It was. If you really love Kenshin and the whole story arc, it's something you really need to sit through for you to understand. And maybe you'll forgive the world music at the end of it.
Okay, I believe the world music just appears in modern times in relation to where Kenshin as
it does.
Yes, in relation to the present day.
Oh man,
it does.
I mean, like she dies, she sets his house on fire.
It's the same bone to pick,
and then the world music starts.
I still hate it. I still hate it so much.
But here's the thing. Like, no matter how sad or how heavy this movie was, I was like, okay na lahat, consistent na, bigla na lang narinig ko yung world music. I was like, bakit?
Okay. All right. Look, for me, I genuinely would have liked for this to have come before the previous movie.
Yeah.
If only to give context to what the whole Inishi thing was about, I would have been more forgiving for that movie glossing over a lot of things if we knew exactly where everybody was coming from first. And I would have enjoyed it more if we ended it on a note with him in his new life and being the person that we know that he already is. And it just seems a bit, of a step back to end it right before the first movie. But I also understand why they probably thought that it was necessary. But all things considered, I will stand by the fact that overall, this series and this film in particular could very well be the best live-action translation of an anime, manga, or OVA that I've ever seen.
Yes.
So on that note, whatever order you decide to watch the last 2 movies in, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. They change a few things, they add, they subtract a few things, but overall, it's incredibly faithful to the source material, and it's totally worth checking out.
Yeah.
So that has been our discussion on Rurouni Kenshin. Oh my God, no! On the last Kenshin movie.
That's how the movie ended or began. but we have the wailing.
Oh my god! Yes.
So question
You like
talaga.
my Marvel one.
Okay,
Why
fine.
don't you
I'm
like
gonna
this
do this.
background?
I'm gonna power through this. Screw you guys.
I have a question. Oh, wait. I have a question though. Does the world music signify an era in Kenshin's life? Maybe, I guess. Kasi sa end lang siya ng the
It
beginning. No? Kasi,
signifies him burning the corpse of his beloved as he walks away to form a new Japan.
Wait, if he burned her corpse, did they bury her in that grave that Kenshin and Kaoru visited at the end?
Oh my
maybe
god,
the
you're
ashes
right.
of the house
Who
and
the
the
fuck
corpse.
put her in a grave? I thought she was in the house. I thought it was like
No, she
Buba's
wasn't.
Lola, where she walks away from the burning house.
Who?
And that is a deep cut, and that's why nobody fucking believes I'm straight.
Bubas Lola.
From Kenshin Himura to Ruffa may Quinto. What the fuck?
You know I'm right.
Dude,
And now you can never
hindi naman
unsee
kasi
that.
simpleng
I'm gonna wait for somebody to dub a version of Kenshin walking away from his burning house with that audio ng Lola
I'm done,
sa
guys.
bahay.
And with that, we're done with the episode.
Isa, hindi kasi simpleng dalaga pinag-uusapan.
See?
I'm done. Oh my God.
Thank you for listening to our episode on Rurouni Kenshin, the beginning. Please follow us on Facebook, Sub-Auteurs We Like Movies, and on Instagram, Sub_Auteurs. We have been your hosts. I'm Misha.
I'm done. I give up. I'm MJ. God.
I'm the booba. That's booba, guys. Someone laughing right now.
Oh my God.
Booba. Booba.
And we'll see you all in our next episode.